So without further ado, I want to show you a demo. But first, a quick side note introduction. So I'm going to be demoing a clickstream use case. So like basically looking at people interacting with the website. This is a website I built. It's a do nothing website, but it's pretty popular because the less your website does, the fewer things can break in it, and the easier it is to appreciate its simplicity. In this website, you get a dot and you can mouse over it. And if you haven't seen this before, chances are maybe you've already seen this on the internet. It's kind of made its rounds. You can start mousing over it. The feeling is very like popping bubble wrap, if you're into that. And slowly you uncover an image, in this case, koala. And that's why the website is called Koalas to the Max. So if you haven't seen this, maybe ask your kids. They probably have. In any case, this website, whenever I pop these circles on it, it logs events onto a collector that we have, and I'm going to look at this data. So here's this data, and this is regular pivot. This is not CrossTab. In here, I can look at this, for example, by let's see, by browser. Let's see which browsers are coming in, or and then okay, as I look by browser, I could maybe look at some other category, for example, country. I could put it here in the quick filter control, and I could very quickly switch from one country to the other. And this generally utilizes the fact that this is powered by Druid. And Druid is really, really good at answering queries, especially small queries. As you can see, every single query here, even though it acts on a lot of data, it returns a relatively small number of results. That's what I call a small query. And it acts on these queries extremely quickly. So you have this really twitchy interactive experience. So to develop the CrossTab view, which is available in beta, we really leaned in and leveraged that functionality. And the CrossTab view is available here. It's kind of like its own visualization type. And now I'm in the CrossTab view. So here I have my slightly different control set than the regular pivot view. I have rows and columns, and I can take, let's say, country and put it on the row, and browser and put it on the column, and this table will fill in for me. Now, so far, this might not look that impressive, but the cool thing here is that I could drag as many dimensions as I want. There is absolutely no limit. So let's say I do browser, and within that browser major version, and within that the specific version, and maybe I'll put the operating system on the outside, and rows, I have country, I can do city, and then I can start expanding this. Australia, and let's look at Windows, Firefox, Firefox 78, there's that specific version. So, if you actually did a group by on this data set of these 6 dimensions, you would probably, well, most definitely have more than 100,000 results, because this is a pretty popular website, as I said. But this table kind of just shows them to you pretty instantaneously. So what's the trick? Well, the trick is very simple, and it's not a new trick, and not a trick that we invented. Maybe it's the first time this trick has been applied to this view, but it's definitely not a new thing. It's just loading data on demand. And in this particular case, this table literally only loads the data that you see on the screen. So as I scroll down, it's actually going to make more network requests and load in more values. If I scroll back, it's already loaded those values, so they're still there. And same with scrolling side to side. And I can then go here and expand this value, or I can scroll down and expand this value, and maybe I can, within each one of these, I can expand another value, and there's really let's do Oslo and scroll to the side a little bit and see the values. There's really no limit to how far I can expand it. Or how many dimensions I can have. I could literally take all of my dimensions here and one by one put them into the rows and columns, and then literally be exploring my entire data set. I mean, that might be too much to actually be useful exploration, but it's definitely something that could be done. And this is extremely efficient. Even though this view might look like it's pulling in a ton of dimensions, it's actually, again, it's literally pulling in the values that are shown on the screen, which means that its resource utilization in a cluster is bounded by your screen size. We talk about order complexity in computer science. We think that, like, is it linear? Is it quadratic? Well, this view, the complexity of this view is actually order of your screen resolution. So if you are on a 13-inch laptop and next to you is somebody else that's using an ultra-wide monitor, you're actually going to have very different usage footprints from using this view. But in both cases, they will be a lot smaller than any kind of equivalent way of doing this view that actually just pulls in all the data up front. And this is exactly leveraging this Druid ability to do these queries on demand and very quickly and only when needed to. That is pretty awesome. So what else can you do with this view? Well, you're not limited to just having one computation. You can select multiple measures, just like you can in regular Pivot, and it will load them for you. Notice that just naturally, by increasing the number of measures, I also literally increased the number of columns I see on the screen, but that the number of values therefore decreases by 2. So it's a natural balance. The overall number of values I'm seeing on the screen is still the same, and I'm still consuming the same amount of resources from the cluster. This is not strictly true because these are slightly more expensive. These are computing uniques, but they're, for all intents and purposes, you're still bounded by the size of your screen. And then another interesting part about this is that I can do comparisons. So I can actually compare this to, let's say, a previous period. In this case, it will compare it to now versus this time, I guess this time last week. And because I'm now showing a comparison, these cells grow to accommodate for the extra number. And again, the overall number of numbers displayed on the screen stays about the same. And now with this view, I can again scroll down and have everything load as I do so. I can, let's say if I remove this comparison, go back to the number of, the small number of measures, it preserves the values it already loaded, again, for efficiency. And lets me explore this view however I want. So this is a novel approach for us to do stuff. As I showed initially, Pivot's entire design is based around doing many small queries and having this twitchy interaction. In this case, we're taking this design principle to the max, pun intended, and making it possible to actually query data completely dynamically as you need to. This decreases the load on the cluster, lets more multi-tenant users use this at the same time, and also makes it possible to do very, very complex explorations while preserving all the comforts of the measures you've defined and everything like that. We're looking to dramatically expand this capability and really lean into this side of doing things. It really brings out the best in Druid and in Pivot. And that is Imply CrossTab. Hope you can try it out.